José Ortega y Gasset was a Spanish liberal philosopher and essayist. He worked during the first half of the 20th century, while Spain oscillated between monarchy, republicanism, and dictatorship. His philosophy has been characterized as a philosophy of life that comprised a long-hidden beginning in a pragmatist metaphysics inspired by William James, and with a general method from a realist phenomenology imitating Edmund Husserl, which served both his proto-existentialism and his realist historicism, which has been compared to both Wilhelm Dilthey and Benedetto Croce. Biography. José Ortega y Gasset was born the 9th of May 1883 in Madrid. His father was director of the newspaper El Imparcial, which belonged to the family of his mother, Dolores Gasset. The family was definitively of Spain's end-of-the-century liberal and educated bourgeoisie. The liberal tradition and journalistic engagement of his family had a profound influence in Ortega y Gasset's activism in politics. Ortega was first schooled by the Jesuit priests of San Estanislao in Miraflores del Palacio, Malaga. He attended the University of Deusto, Bilbao and the Faculty of Philosophy and Letters at the Central University of Madrid, receiving a doctorate in philosophy. From 1905 to 1907, he continued his studies in Germany at Leipzig, Nuremberg, Cologne, Berlin and, above all, Marburg. At Marburg, he was influenced by the neo-Kantianism of Hermann Cohen and Paul Notorp, among others. On his return to Spain in 1908, he was appointed professor of psychology, logic and ethics at the Escuela Superior del Magisterio de Madrid, and in October 1910 he was named full professor of metaphysics at Complutense University of Madrid, a vacant seat previously held by Nicolas Salmeron. In 1917 he became a contributor to the newspaper El Sol, where he published, as a series of essays, his two principal works, España Invertebrada and La Rebelión de las Masas. The latter made him internationally famous. He founded the Revista de Occidente in 1923, remaining its director until 1936. This publication promoted translation of the most important figures and tendencies in philosophy, including Oswald Spengler, Johann Huizinga, elected deputy for the province of Leon in the Constituent Assembly of the Second Spanish Republic. He was the leader of a parliamentary group of intellectuals known as La Agrupación al Servicio de la República, but he soon abandoned politics. Disappointed, leaving Spain at the outbreak of the Civil War, he spent years of exile in Buenos Aires, Argentina until moving back to Europe in 1942. He settled in Portugal by mid-1945 and slowly began to make short visits to Spain. In 1948 he returned to Madrid, where he founded the Institute of Humanities, at which he lectured philosophy. Yo soy y mi circunstancia, for Ortega y Gasset. Philosophy has a critical duty to lay siege to beliefs in order to promote new ideas and to explain reality. To accomplish such tasks, the philosopher must, as Husserl proposed, leave behind prejudices and previously existing beliefs, and investigate the essential reality of the universe. Ortega y Gasset proposes that philosophy must overcome the limitations of both idealism and ancient medieval realism to focus on the only truthful reality. My life, the life of each individual. He suggests that there is no me without things, and things are nothing without me. I cannot be detached from my circumstance. This led Ortega y Gasset to pronounce his famous maxim, Yo soy y mi circunstancia, which he always put at the core of his philosophy. For Ortega y Gasset, as for Husserl, the Cartesian cogito ergo sum is insufficient to explain reality. Therefore the Spanish philosopher proposes a system wherein the basic or radical reality is my life, which consists of I and my circumstance. This circunstancia is oppressive, therefore, there is a continual dialectical interaction between the person and his or her circumstances and, as a result, life is a drama that exists between necessity and freedom. In this sense, Ortega y Gasset wrote that life is at the same time fate and freedom, and that freedom is being free inside of a given fate. Fate gives us an inexorable repertory of determinate possibilities, that is, it gives us different destinies. We accept fate and within it we choose one destiny. In this tied-down fate we must therefore be active, decide and create a project of life, thus not be like those who live a conventional life of customs and given structures, who prefer an unconcerned and imperturbable life because they are afraid of the duty of choosing a project. Vitalismo, with a philosophical system that centered around life. Ortega y Gasset also stepped out of Descartes' cogito ergo sum and asserted, I live therefore I think. This stood at the root of his Kantian-inspired perspectivism, which he developed by adding a non-relativistic character in which absolute truth does exist and would be obtained by the sum of all perspectives of all lives. Since for each human being life takes a concrete form and life itself is a true radical reality from which any philosophical system must derive. In this sense, Ortega coined the terms razón vital to refer to a new type of reason that constantly defends the life from which it has surged, and vitalismo, a theory that based knowledge in the radical reality of life, one of whose essential components is reason itself. This system of thought, which he introduces in History as System, escaped from Nietzsche's vitalism in which life responded to impulses. For Ortega, reason is crucial to create and develop the above-mentioned project of life. Historical reason for Ortega y Gasset, vital reason is also historical reason, for individuals and societies are not detached from their past. In order to understand a reality we must understand, as Dilthey pointed out, its history. In Ortega's words, humans have no nature, but history, and reason should not focus on what is but what becomes. Influence. Ortega y Gasset's influence was considerable, not only because many sympathized with his philosophical writings, but also because those writings did not require that the reader be well versed in technical philosophy. Among those strongly influenced by Ortega y Gasset were Luis Buñuel, Manuel García Morente, Joaquín Z. Rao, Xavier Zubiri, Ignacio Ellacuría, Emilio Camar, José Gaos, Luis Recasanes Seixas, Manuel Granell, Francisco Ayala, Maria Zambrano, Agustín Bushve, Máximo Etchepare, Pedro Lenin Tralgo, José Luis López Aranguren, Julian Marias, John Lukács, Pierre Bourdieu, Paulina Garajori, Oliva de Carvalho, Willem Flusser and Félix Martí Ibáñez. Ortega y Gasset influenced existentialism and the work of Martin Heidegger. The Ortega Hypothesis, based on a quote in The Revolt of the Masses, states that average or mediocre scientists contribute substantially to the advancement of science. German grape breeder Hans Bryden named the grape variety Ortega in his honor. The American philosopher Graham Harman has recognized Ortega y Gasset as a source of inspiration for his own object-oriented ontology. La Rebelión de las Masas has been translated into English twice. The first, in 1932, is by a translator who wanted to remain anonymous, generally accepted to be J.R. Carey. The second translation was published by the University of Notre Dame Press in 1985, in association with W.W. Norton & Co. This translation was by Anthony Kerrigan and Kenneth Moore, with an introduction by Saul Bellow. Mildred Adams is the translator of the main body of Ortega's work, including Invertebrates Spain, Man and Crisis, What is Philosophy? Some Lessons in Metaphysics, The Idea of Principle in Leibniz and the Evolution of Deductive Theory, and an Interpretation of Universal History. Influence on the generation of 27. Ortega y Gasset had considerable influence on writers of the generation of 27, a group of poets that arose in Spanish literature in the 1920s. Works. Much of Ortega y Gasset's work consists of course lectures published years after the fact, often posthumously. This list attempts to list works in chronological order by when they were written, rather than when they were published. Meditaciones del Quijote. Vieja y Nueva Política. Investigaciones psicológicas. Personas, obras, cosas. El espectador. España invertebrada. El tema de nuestro tiempo. Las Atlantides. La deshumanización del arte. Ideas sobre la novela. Espíritu de la letra. Mirabeau el político. Quircutes filosofía. Kant. Quircutes conocimiento. Life as Execution, sobre la realidad radical, on radical reality, and Quircutes la vida, what is life? La rebelión de las masas. Rectificación de la república, la redención de las provincias y la decencia nacional. Goethe desde dentro. Unas lecciones de metafísica. En torno a Galileo. Prólogo para el Mains. History as a System. Ensimismamiento y Alteración. Meditación de la Técnica. Ideas y Creencias. Teoría de Andalucía y otras ensayos Guillermo Dilde y la idea de vida. Sobre la razón histórica. Prólogo a un tratado de Montería. Idea del teatro. Una abreviatura. La idea de principio en Leibniz y la evolución de la teoría deductiva. Una interpretación de la historia universal. En torno a Toynbee. Meditation de Europa, lecture given in Berlin in 1949 with the Latin language title De Europa Meditatio Quaedam, published 1960 together with other previously unpublished works. El hombre y la gente, Papla sobre Velázquez y Goya, Pasado y porvenir para el hombre actual, Goya. Velázquez, Oregon y Epílogo de la Filosofía, La Casa y los Toros. Meditations on Hunting translated into English by Howard B. Westcott.